Now, welcome to another edition of News from Naboo with Or's Lightning Takes. And let's get right to the news.
Okay, so we're going to talk more about the Acolyte. This will contain spoilers from episode 3, the latest episode.
Okay, let's, I haven't talked about the Acolyte since like 10 minutes ago, so let's do it.
Alright, so there was a new interview done with Leslye Headland on Entertainment Weekly. She does all the entertainments
She's
now.
been doing a lot of interviews. It's been a whole different ballgame with Ahsoka having like no interviews because of the writer's
the writer's strike. It's so weird to be back to like every time they open their mouth, it's to a big outlet and everyone knows about it.
Yep.
Not to mention all the stars and stuff on social media who are got the Yord Horde and
Horde, yeah.
the May Mob and
Is that what?
they've all got like a name for something now. I don't really know. It's a little much.
It's kind of strange. I don't think it's like bad, but it is weird.
Maybe
I
it's
don't know.
the trend of actors of a certain age or something.
I think it's the young. I think it's both younger actors and both younger individuals who kind of more the social media heavy people. I think, which is fine. You know, every generation has their things. It's fine.
But onto the interview. The first thing Entertainment Weekly asked of Leslye Headland was kind of for her to talk about why she chose to not lead the series with the character's backstory, that she waited for episode 3 to get into it.
Fantastic question, yeah.
She said, I did always think if you're going to tell the origin story of these two characters, it would be a lot more interesting to dip in a later episode as opposed to starting with it. It just felt more dynamic and more interesting. As the writer's room and I developed the overall arc for season 1, we started to really get influenced by Rashomon, and the themes of the show started to rise to the top of duality, seeing things from different points of view. So it made sense for me that when you did go back in time, there were a lot of different ways to interpret an event that happened.
So they didn't go into it with the Rashomon in mind.
No, this is apparently something that came up as she was working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So there would be an actual backstory that was probably solid in stone before she changed how she wanted to structure this.
I think, not necessarily my issue, but I think an issue that has been caused because of doing it this way is that a lot of people assumed that the mystery was going to be who is killing the Jedi. Because that's how it gets framed, right? You're watching the trailers, it's somebody's killing Jedi, it doesn't make sense. And then you watch the show and you're like, well, that's actually not the mystery. We know who's killing the Jedi, barring some sort of really odd twist. So
I think the actual mystery isn't who is killing the Jedi, but why are they killing the Jedi. That's just a weird mystery box. The mystery box being the motive instead of the
Well, yeah, but the motive,
culprit.
like... So we then get the point of view of different characters, even though we know the motive has to be hers, right? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say here? We know May is the killer, barring, again, some kind of weird... I don't even know how we would sell it that May wasn't the killer at this point.
Unless we're trying to say that Osha's the killer, yeah.
But let's assume May is indeed the killer as has been presented. I think quite clearly, too. Mm-hmm. So the idea here is we're going to see different perspectives to try to discern her motive.
Right.
And if it's
and it's funny because we started
with
we started with Osha's perspective, which just leaves everything up to the imagination because Osha didn't see the Jedi do anything wrong.
No, she clearly doesn't. I mean, she joined them. She forgives Sol for what happened. I mean, from her point of view, what we saw was Sol comes running in and has to pick either her or May and picks her.
Or it's just whichever twin he could actually grab.
Yeah.
From his angle.
I'm assuming he could have picked either one and he decided to pick the one who wants to be a Jedi. I mean, I guess that makes sense, right? If you have to pick one or the other, pick the one that
both?
You know. Especially if he knows all the other witches are dead. Yeah. He would know, like, May doesn't want to be a witch, so if I save her, I should say, what do we do with her? But here's Osha, who wants to be a Jedi, so...
Wow, that makes it sound like Sol's kind of a...
It doesn't make him sound bad at all. It just makes him sound like it's more practical, in a way. It's more logical, in a sense, I guess. I don't know. I don't know that all that ran through his head in the 10th of a second he had to decide, but...
Mm-hmm. All right, and then she kind of talked about the inspiration she took from the Night Sisters, this origin story that takes place within this female witchcraft community.
Witchcraft community. They're just witches. Come on now.
Yeah.
Being so politically correct here, we have to call it a witchcraft community.
She said, I was very inspired by the Night Sisters storyline and the Ventress storyline on the Clone Wars when I was a budding writer. So when I got the chance to make a show set in the Star Wars universe, I felt like, well, of course I'm going to do my version of witches. I'm just going to shoot my shot.
Okay.
So she just really liked the Night Sisters and was like, well, I want to do Night Sisters, so I'm just going to do Night Sisters. But they're not. They're witches.
Why not do Night Sisters?
I don't know.
Because
it would have been interesting to see them 100 years before we've seen them.
Well, what's interesting is we now know, thanks to Ahsoka, that like Night Sisters are much more prevalent. I mean, they're in another galaxy than we ever imagined, I think.
Not even
So-
just from Ahsoka, but from Tales of the Empire.
Well, sure, but Ahsoka came first.
I
is my
know.
Point. I mean, a fair point, though, that yes, we saw that Tales of the Empire tied into Ahsoka, and we know that Filoni kind of, I don't know, I haven't seen the interview, or I've seen kind of like a clip from the interview, I think that StarWars.com put out. But, I mean, they kind of work together to a degree. I mean, Filoni is kind of the guy. Mm-hmm. He's going to do that anyway. So you have to ask, like, why not kind of tell her, use the Night Sisters, and here's some ideas I got, and make it, I don't know, make it something bigger? Mm-hmm. Just curious why they didn't do that.
Well, she comments on Osha and May's background with the witches, saying that as the characters developed, it made a lot of sense that they would be the center of a coven, that the girls would almost be revealed not as children, but as the legacy of what their mother started. Because, I mean, the whole time her mom's like, well, you're going to take over the coven. You're taking over this coven. You're going to carry it to the future. They were less so as children and just the future. I mean, they are the future of the coven. There's no other children.
Well, yeah, there's...
They made that abundantly clear.
Well, yeah.
And then she gets into the famous mantra. Oh.
The power of one.
The power of two.
The power of many.
Oh, we're bad. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So, this is the quote. In our show, the Jedi have the power of many. I think their mother started as one, and the girls are two, and she wants her legacy to be the power of many. So it was thought of as paying homage to the Clone Wars, but it eventually became the story of a mom and her children in the way that our parents have particular expectations for us. And if Star Wars is anything, it's got a lot of parents and children living up to or rejecting the legacy of those parents.
Huh? What do you mean it's...
That's how she explains their mantra. One, two, and many.
I don't get the Clone Wars reference. I mean, I get the parent thing, sure. But, like, how does that say Clone Wars?
Just because they're sisters, witches, Night Sister type people, and they did a ceremony in there where they turned Savage into Big Savage.
Yeah, they did. I think, and I'm not the first to say this, but I think the chant or the mantra works better if it is in an alien language.
Ooh, that would have been nice.
Yeah, it
then at least you wouldn't have recognized it.
Well, I mean, you could have just put it up. They could have been saying it in an alien language, and then you put up the subtitles, and I don't think people would have had a problem with it, even though it's the same chant.
This mantra doesn't make any sense.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at least if it's an alien language, and you're seeing the subtitles, you're kind of like, oh, it's, there's some kind of ancient thing. I don't know.
I mean, were they many before they were put into exile, or were they always such a small group? Why is it always like one, two, and many? I don't, like the mantra, no matter what Headland says, I don't quite understand how they want this to be. The Jedi have the power of many. Well, there's many of those witches.
There's many of a lot of things, though.
Many.
Yeah, there are many witches. I mean, I don't really... Well, sure, I guess the Jedi have the power of many. I
mean, trying to explain it, I mean, going, oh, well, their mom is one, but their mom isn't one. There's two mothers involved there. Yeah. There's the one who, quote-unquote, created them and the one who carried them, which means that they're two. So they're two. The girls are two, but the girls sing a little prophecy song, how they're one. Don't forget that. They're like, you're me and I'm you. So they're not two, they're one.
Oh, boy.
So the math on this is a little backwards.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't even realize how the twins actually think of themselves as one.
Yes, they sing a little ditty, their little thing about how I'm you and you me, and
yeah, without you I'm not me or something.
Yes,
I don't know.
It all
rhymes.
Like it's Hallmark. Yeah.
You're both going there.
Yeah. All right, but here's what she does say about the creating of the twins. If you keep watching the show, we do talk about that and explore that. I would say there isn't one answer to it. Some characters believe certain things, and other characters believe other things in terms of what she means by that. So you're going to have to watch and decide which side of the argument you're on.
Yeah, I kind of talked about this one on my channel.
AKA she's going to tell you nothing.
No, you're not going to have a definitive answer.
Which is horrible. I want a definitive answer.
Yeah. Well, I mean we talked about that and how Star Wars is very canon-centric. People want answers. People want to know things. Mm-hmm. So to leave something like this wide open... And you could argue like Anakin's backstory is a mystery, sure, but it's kind of better that way because we don't need it explained there. But if you're going to have something that is similar to Anakin's backstory, you kind of want to know how that one happened, right?
Well, and Anakin's backstory I feel like is more explained because Shmi says, yeah, there's no father.
Yeah.
And she's not saying that I went out and had a little fun one night and Dad's out of the picture. She's saying there's literally no father.
There's no father. I was too drunk to remember.
That's not what she's saying.
I know, and I'm just joking, but clearly what she's saying is I woke up one morning pregnant. Nobody did anything. No father, no weird person did a ritual on me. No, nothing.
Whereas in this case, Anastasia is definitely saying, well, I created them.
I did something.
I did something. We don't know what she did, but she did something.
Yeah, she's definitely saying I actively, knowingly created them somehow. Whether that be I invoked the Force or something, or
did something shady.
Yeah, or she did something. Yeah, you've got your own little weird theory about mind controlling some Jedi to impregnate her.
Or just strong Force person.
But yeah, something has happened.
The last quote I picked, because I know you'll like this quote, is from Jodie Turner-Smith, who is the one who, of course, plays Mother Anastasia.
The one who plays... I'm sorry. I tried. Yes, she plays Mother Anastasia.
She's kind of talking about her character and the witches, saying that they represent something we've talked about, which is this gray area.
Ugh.
If you were to think of the light side and the dark side as this binary that exists, the witches feel that they exist in the gray. Also, we are putting too much emphasis on the light and the dark. I think it's more about power.
What the does that even mean?
It means nobody understands Star Wars who does these interviews.
Yes, that means... I've talked before about Charlie Barnett and his Anakin blew up the Death Star. Like, I really don't care how much they know Star Wars. I really don't. But, like, now you're talking about, like, what Star Wars is about. And you come from a place of authority because you are in it, right? Mm-hmm. So you're going to have people who read that quote and go, yeah, she's got a point.
We aren't putting too much emphasis on light and dark. That is what the Force is. You know, it's the battle of the light versus the darkness.
That is what Star Wars is.
It's not just about about power.
Because it's not about power at all unless you're a Sith.
You could argue that the power doesn't even lie with the Force users because the Republic makes the rules. The Republic at this time is even telling the Jedi what to do. The Republic exiled the witches. So that seems to be much more power than the Jedi are holding at this moment.
I don't know. It's a strange quote. It's a strange...
I think they're trying too hard to, instead of emphasizing the light and the dark like we feel like they should to keep us in our fantasy realm, they're trying to emphasize more of today's society where it is about power and who gets to use it.
Yeah.
When this is our fantasy universe, I'd like to keep the immersion alive.
Yeah, it's more about moral relativism than just actually like this is good, this is bad, and they fight and good beats bad eventually.
Like me, use their entertainment as a form of escapism.
I think a lot of people do nowadays. I think that's the big problem.
This gets me away from the stresses of the day. I get to sit down, I get to unplug my brain and delve into a fantasy world where I don't have to deal with those problems because they don't exist there.
Yeah, different problems.
Don't drag them in.
Yeah,
I don't need to hear about politics.
Good and evil. That's what a lot of people want from Star Wars. They want simplicity,
because
yet a very...
Our world is gray. Our world that we live is very gray. So it's kind of nice to delve into a world where some things are just black and white. Some things are good and some things aren't.
Yes, bad guys. Yeah.
Yes, I'm not saying gray can't exist within them. Andor is a great example of doing wrong for the right reasons and such.
Yeah, it's a complex question. Andor is about the gray area that good has to kind of wade itself into or wade into in order to defeat evil.
But once you have a show where you're starring things like the Jedi, I think you're moving back to that black and white situation because the Jedi, they're supposed to be the good.
Yeah. They uphold everything we know to be good
Truth,
and true.
Justice, and the way of the Republic.
All right, Super Jedi.
All right, let's move into new this week in Star Wars, etc. Tonight, Acolyte Episode 4, 8 p.m. Central Time.
Yep.
Be there or be square.
Buckle up. I'll have another late night review up probably. Then on Wednesday for comics, we have Jango Fett number 4. Exciting stuff. Very.
Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Time, we will be having voice chat in the Discord server, the Headless Mando Cantina. Don't ask about the name.
It's from a fanfic I did years ago.
I told him not to ask.
Oh, well, they didn't have to ask. I just told them.
But yeah, so if you are a member of the Discord, come on down. Everyone's welcome. It's always a good discussion. If you aren't, you can join the Patreon and you can join the Discord server. Easy as that. Super fun. Then on Sunday this week, we have House of the Dragon episode number 2 on HBO.
Yeah, episode 1 was excellent.
Yeah.
You don't like speaking of moral ambiguity and gray, I think it's almost a little too much in that show for you.
I liked that in original Game of Thrones, you had House Stark. House Stark were pretty much your good people,
if you were ever going to get
pillars they're going to try and do the right thing no matter what. They were the ones you were constantly rooting for. And at one point, that was the same with Daenerys. You were constantly rooting for Daenerys.
Yeah.
She could do no wrong. And all of a sudden, the last season, she went crazy, and everyone's like, why is everyone a scumbag?
I think Brienne was another character
Brienne
you could look at as a pillar of morality and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
House of the Dragon doesn't, unfortunately. Like, the whole time... And that's what's sad. They want you to, at times, root against Rhaenyra. But at the same time, she is the rightful heir. As the audience, we know it. So I'm not enjoying the fact that they're constantly trying to prove to us that she's not.
Well, it's not that they're trying to prove to you they're not. I mean, the other side is
she's entirely in the right, and we all know she's in the right, and so it's really weird.
That's what makes it kind of frustrating to watch, right? Because we know how it actually went down.
I kind of dislike when I finish watching a fun show, a fantasy show, I don't know if I should call it fun, and then it leaves like that sour taste in your mouth, like you get done and you're like, well, that was kind of sad and depressing.
Well, the ending of the first episode was pretty bleak.
Yeah.
I guess that's
what I'll talk about it. I mean, if you want us to do a review, let us know.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. All right, well, that is all we got for you this time. So now it is your turn. Take to the comments below. Let us know what you think of any and all of today's news. And let's talk some Star Wars. And so until next time, thanks for watching.